got a good view. Don't see too many of those GP line trips. More of the GP 3-row tractors. I'm sure we'll have some. Tim Bishop has a John Deere MT, the T for tricycle, 1951. He's from Hastings here. Yeah, Mark Burns from Rosemount, 1961. New generation came out. The first 4 tractors were 10, 20, 30, and 40 10s. Jim Schroed has a 1936B. It's been in the family for 41 years. He's got it all polished up. He's got the nice F&H spoke wheels on it. A big old G. This one from 1940. Joe Schroed has the big heavy cast wheels on it. The cast wheels help your early tires bite in. Len Kaufer has a C from 1939. He's from Hastings, very early, built August of 38, delivered to Morgan, Minnesota. John Deere has the destination records of where a lot of those tractors were first shipped to, so the collectors like to include that in their information. Don Cricky has 1937 Co-op number 1 Type B Orchard, one of 2 known restored. Farmers Union Co-op. Today we know it as CHS, Senate Harvest States, but this is how they started. And they were doing their best to try to get some tractors in the hands of farmers, so they're few and far between. Brian Rohrbach, his 37 Co-op number 2, 6-cylinder Chrysler engine, Dodge Driveline, so you bought the tractor from the Co-op, but you could go to the Dodge dealer and get it serviced. G1000 Vista Moline means they moved the operator's platform up higher and they put the fuel tank behind the seat. Jerry Kimmis, G1000 Vista, claims it was built in the Twin Cities, obviously at the top. Over there out in Hastings it would have been built. Roger Savari of Apple Valley, 1950 ZPS, been in the family since Lou had the Lee Sackett shop down in Decatur, Iowa, restore that. In fact, the seat he's sitting on came out of my Grove. It used to be on an old Mini Moline Beauty Harvester. I said, I got a good seat that's better than that one, and they agreed, so that's on the tractor. So I said I knew they were the reason I hung on to it for all those years. Lee Engelby is representing the Rice County Steam and Gas, is giving away this Massey Harris 22 on Labor Day weekend. Their raffle tickets are just $1 a piece, so while they're here at the show, get your tickets early, get them off on nice, shiny red tractor. Here's a Super 55 Oliver Industrial. That's why it's yellow. This is Sean Sewick, restored by Bruce Bauer, 1955. He's the great-grandson of Joe Sewick. These days I'm going to have to ask them how their name is pronounced, so we'll figure it out one of these days. High Crop 720 Diesel, 1958. Mark and Connie Bartels out of New Market there. Didn't build just a lot of these, so one of 9 made, cost $3,700 new in 1958. High crops were where they had like tomatoes or anything that was a taller, bushier crop, and they wanted to go over it without running the crop over. Most high crops were sold through in Florida, Louisiana, and California. Those were the original markets. As we see up here, they've been supported by the tractors. Tom Kimmish got an 860, he got an 856. An 856, a little brother for the 1256 that still has the 407 engine but not a turbo. 1971, been in the family ever since it was new. Got the big pipe on there, it definitely sounds musky. 560 diesel, 282 cubic inch direct start engine. This is Justin, his 560, 1963, last year production. Fall of 63, they came out with the 706 and the 806. You've got a younger collector, they like the garden tractor. Here's a 140 John Deere. It's got the hydrostatic drive. They have to be careful so their lever doesn't break off. A 17P John Deere plastic part. Sometimes the plastic part is better than metal. It doesn't rust, that's for one thing. Here we got a big old 3-speed G. It originally was on steel and they cut it down for rubber. Jeffrey Hansen, his D, 1935. Prior to that, the tractor was a 2-speed, but right around 1935, 1936, they added another gear to it, 475 cubic inch, and you could get the D upgraded to 500, so it was a good old plowing tractor. Ron Shack, Super MCAs are all from 1954. The PA stands for torque amplifier. It's been genericized that any tractor with a shift on the door, they call it a TA, but it's international trademark. Nice old patina. Addison Moyer and Steve Franson, 1949 T30 Ferguson. Not a Ford, but it's a Ferguson. Ferguson went on to build his own tractor after the lawsuit was settled, but he was building his own tractor. T20s and T30s. POs here in America and PEs in England. Mike Hare and Dalton Hare made this in 2021. They've got all kinds of things. The father-son project. They've got some old mower wheels, got some oil barrels. But you see that it runs and it drives. Here's an old 2-speed D. Hasn't had any paint on it since it left the factory. Original rating on the D was 15 on the drawbar and 27 on the belt. Kyle Rapp in D in 1930. Famous Lumley oil pole. The Lumley oil poles that have the channel iron frame like this, they're known as the heavyweights. They built the heavyweight styles from 1910 to 1923. This is Ray Rapp. Here's Lumley 1638 is from 1919. It's over 100 years old. The oil pole was a good tractor. In fact, the oil pole had extra power from the way it was rated. Another tractor owned by Ray Rapp, another H1630 from 1920. Oil poles were very good belt tractors. Reading histories on them, I think they said they have a 720-degree crankshaft. I think they fire every second revolution. Chris Rapp, a 1941 H with a buzz saw. The H was different than the B and the A. The belt pulley drove off the camshaft, so it went in the opposite direction. So if he wants his saw blade to go the right way, he has to twist the belt. Kyle Rapp's 1938 G, again, the big heavy cast wheels. Some of the early G's had a small radiator and they had an overheating problem, and so they were recalled. Most of them were recalled, but some of them escaped that, and so if you still got a low radiator G, it's quite the deal. Lyndon Rickey, 3010, 1962, and an Allied 595 quick back loader. Those two words, quick back, that save more farmers more time that they can put it on and off real fast. Ray Rapp's 1934A, early enough to have the open fan shaft. That's another thing that John Deere collectors like to have. The open fan shaft, if it's still there, it's a survivor. Kyle Rapp's 530 wide front 1960. By the time they were building the 530, farmers wanted bigger tractors, so they didn't build as many of the 530s as they could. just 9,700 530s were built, so they're getting harder to find. A nice 630 with a wide front. This is Jim Quirk, his 630, 1959. 1959 and 1960, the last of the 30 series. Dave Brendrup has a 2640, getting up there from the early to mid 80s. I guess that's a few years ago, so if they got it in nice shape, bring it to the parade, but some tractors like that got used and used up. Bob Shepard's B is from 1951. It says it's a local girl with grease under her nails. All right, well, whatever. Green tractor of a different brand, Super 66 Oliver, the 4-cylinder, the little sister to the Super 77 and Super 88. Leonard Fox, Super 66, 1955. This is the way they came, with the green wheels, and then after January 1st of 1957, they went back to red wheels on the Supers. Eric Arndt from the Zeppa, he's got a 730 LP. Don't see too many of these. Most LPs were used in the South. They had an excess of LP from byproducts of refineries, so they sold it dirt cheap. And so, but an LP runs very clean, and usually the oil stays very clean and things like that, and it usually has higher compression, maybe just a tad bit more horsepower. Michael Weber with Josie Weber, 1958, 720. 720 gas. When John Deere was done with the 720s, they contemplated calling the next series the 50s. So it'd be 550, 650, 750, but then at the last minute, let's just go 10 more and call it the 30 series. You can parade it or you can use it. 4320. Some people say, well, it's a 4020 with a turbo, and it possibly is, and maybe a few tweaks in the rear end or whatever, but usually you can tell a 40